Okay, this is Varanus brevicorda, world's smallest monitor species. This is actually a little gravid female here. You can see her big fat belly. This form is actually smaller than, I suppose, your average brevicorda. This is adult size. This is a form originating from Laverton in Western Australia that is, at this stage, probably an undescribed species. But yeah, a very pleasant little monitor. And at this stage, she's probably another week or two off laying eggs. The hatchlings of these little guys are only about that big in size, smaller than most of your gecko hatchlings. But for a small gecko, they have a very big attitude. They strut around like they're Gould's monitors. So very different in temperament to a lot of your other spiny tails. But yeah, quite a nice species to keep becoming very popular. Okay, this is how I set up most of my small burrowing monitors. Use a stack system from a basking point of view, and that stack system actually sits directly on a large container of sand, and that allows them to burrow in an area that has a temperature gradient from directly above it to cooler at the bottom. For a lot of your burrowing monitors, they'll tend to nest in the middle of that temperature gradient. They just enter via a little cut in the top tile over the other side there. And I use this for brevicordas, Varanus acanthourus, and also my stores monitors, which all like to burrow up against something, and then they just use the deeper layers when it comes to nesting. Yeah, this is your northern blunt spine monitor, Varanus primordius. This is about a 3/4 grown animal. Interesting little fellas. Not good to be bitten by. They're one of the small species that has some kind of venom apparatus, so they sting for days after you get bitten by these fellas. Somewhat related to your stores monitors, but much smaller. Technically, these are actually probably the world's smallest monitor, but they have a longer tail than Varanus brevicorda, so they don't get that official title. But on snout vent length, they're certainly the smallest.
One of the most commonly kept species of pygmy monitor is Varanus acanthourus, or the ridge-tailed monitor. Growing to a maximum size of about 70 centimetres, these monitors are ideal for someone who doesn't have the space required for the larger species. They are comparatively easy to care for and come in a wide variety of regional colour variations, ranging from reds through to yellows and oranges. Being insectivores, they will thrive on a diet of crickets, wood roaches, mealworms and pinky mice. They also relish raw egg and mince on occasion. In the wild, they are almost always associated with rocky outcrops, where they quickly take shelter if disturbed. They are skilled at wedging themselves into the tightest possible spaces, with their spiny tail presenting a defensive barrier. I went out with licensed collector Dave McIntosh into the Great Sandy Desert to see if we could find a specimen of the West Australian form. On the way, a quick stop at a decommissioned ammunition dump yielded a beautiful Varanus tristis, another of the small monitors.
What a specimen. Check that out. Okay, this little specimen here, black-headed monitor. Varanus tristis is its scientific name. It often gets called black-headed monitor, black-tailed monitor. In WA here, what do we call it? Black-headed monitor. Commonly associated with abandoned buildings, are highly arboreal. And we've just got this fella out of the abandoned ammunition dump behind us. It's clearly a boy. It's got these spurs down here, these clusters here. That indicates a boy on the species. They're not always easily to identify as what sexes they are, but this one is quite easy. Until recently, it's always been thought of as that lizards here in Australia were non-venomous. However, recent research has shown they actually do have venom glands, and although their venom is probably not harmful to us in any way, they've probably got benefits for medicine and further research. Who knows what they'll turn up.